going to the playoffs. Oh.
All right. So I'm kind of dumb. I realized we weren't even live.
All right.
So my bad.
I have all the time in the world.
You know what? We have all the time in the world. I literally thought I pressed the live button. I feel really dumb the fact that I did not. So
We just got our script down.
we got our script down. We're gonna, you know what? And I've been talking on our live. I really gotta stop going live on Instagram. This does not help my numbers at all. I thought I pressed the live button, which I'm mad that I did not. So, all right, we've been going live for 32 minutes. We can restart everything over. I just screwed myself up. I thought I pressed it, and I was looking at it. I was like, I don't think we've been live this whole time. So we're just gonna skip the theatrics, and we're just gonna go right into it. All right.
Bucks made some moves the other day.
So I guess what was your reaction? Two-parter. What was your reaction when they signed Myles Turner and they waived Damian Lillard?
Again, ecstatic, confused, excited. I think you kind of hit every single one. I think the biggest thing is, I think what was more surprising of that whole deal was the waiving of Damian Lillard over the signing of Myles Turner. I think the biggest thing, again, is, like we mentioned earlier, it's every single year, which under John Horst, it's always, we're going to be active in free agency. And every year, they are not active in free agency. I think since the championship, this Damian Lillard trade was the biggest thing that they've done, which was huge. You know, you traded Drew Holiday for it. But outside of that, I really can't find anything where it's like, yep, that was a great offseason move. And again, I don't have notifications on. I have a group chat with my brother and my dad, and I have texts going off. And I'm just at work. I'm walking around, and I found out that they signed Myles Turner, which I think surprised me so much. Again, because we didn't know about Lillard, and I think the biggest thing is like how, because I didn't think they were going to have a chance with DeAndre Ayton. So how on earth would they be able to get a guy who has beaten this team 2 years in a row in the playoffs? It's like, why would you want to come to the team you keep beating and not stay with the one team? So again, reading about with the whole Giannis recruiting him, and then Chris Haynes is like, Giannis wants out now. Like, this is for sure. He didn't know Lillard. People are freaking out, and people believe it, and it drives me absolutely nuts about the media hating Giannis. I know we talk about it probably almost every podcast, but it's true. But no, I'm excited that John Horst actually did something, and we were able to get the day before, we were able to re-sign Kevin Porter Jr. And then we somehow got Gary Trent Jr. back for 2 years, $7.5 million. I thought he was for sure gone. I thought you were going to get one or the other. They re-signed Taurean Prince. Okay, fine. For depth, I don't think he's going to start anymore. But then you get Myles Turner. It's like, holy shit. When the Bucks signed Brook Lopez, I remember I was talking with my dad. I remember this so vividly. He's like, Bucks are obviously looking for a center. Who are your hopes? I'm like, well, I really want Brook Lopez. Then they ended up signing him. I'm like, but Myles Turner is the other guy that you want. But, like that middle way in his career, it's like he just started. But you see these young guys and see what they have the potential. And now he's somehow on the team. I don't know. It's kind of a weird moment for the Bucks the last few years, because now they're able to recruit and get some of these bigger name guys that you just would not have thought would have a slight chance of getting or being on the team, I guess, 10-ish years ago or so. But no, I'm excited. I think it's going to be super cool. They got him for 4 years. It's not like a quick 2-year deal, and then he's probably gone. They got him for 4 years. He's already 29, so hopefully that could maybe push that he could end his career with the Bucks. Hoping it works out. But no, I'm excited. It's always exciting seeing updates with your team that you cheer for. So I'm hoping for big things with this, and I'm super excited that they were able to make this big of a move so fast. And you gotta. John Horst can make some odd moves, but man, he's got the balls to do some of these bigger moves, and I don't know, I'm excited for it, and I'm really hoping for a fun and exciting season with Giannis and Myles Turner. We've never had like a duo of two bigs before, so I'm really hoping that this can kind of help with the rebounding situation, getting back on defense, transitions, everything like that. So fingers crossed, but no, I'm super excited for this move, and I think it's going to help in the long run.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think that I think that particular move caught everyone by surprise. Nobody expected it. Because we were talking like last week, and we were like, "There's no way Milwaukee can do anything." Like with the little money that they have now, They did get under the second apron.
They did,
but it was still like very early on in free agency. It was like, all right, what can they do? And it was like, well, they could probably just retain their talent, but they probably can't like get like a lot of talent from other places.
Yep, they have to make trades.
Yes,
that's how they.
And you obviously mentioned before, but it was just to reiterate, it was like Kevin Porter Jr., Taurean Prince, Gary Trent Jr.
Yep, I was like, cool, they got their guys, awesome. Like that's what I was hoping for out of free agency.
But then all of a sudden, Shams yesterday tweeted out Bucks signed Myles Turner. Yeah, and by the way, quick Shams rant. He needs to stop saying who the agents are. I don't give two flying shits about who the agents are who negotiated the deal. I don't know why he keeps throwing that in there.
Just tell me who they signed with.
We're all dumb. Shams, just say the player and say how long they got signed for. Nobody cares. Like, it was negotiated by John Horst and Austin Brown, a CA sports. I don't care. Just literally, I'm dumb. I just want to read one sentence of where the player signed, like maybe a graphic, and then just leave it at that. It's too long. He's making it way too long. And honestly, and honestly, that's like my favorite Shams moment because I've kind of grown some sort of hatred for him because he's kind of, and this is the problem when everybody joins ESPN. It was just like, well, let's just talk shit about Giannis because that's exactly what everyone does.
Yep.
And they all do it too. It's it's Stephen A. Smith, it's Brian Windhorst, it's Shams, it's Tim McMahon, it's everybody. And that's why I don't respect ESPN as a network. That's why I don't respect them. I don't respect their basketball coverage at all. Because they make a point to anytime you disagree with them, they're going to attack you. Just look at Stephen A. Like Stephen A. made the entire – nobody is going to even remember the 2025 playoffs because it was literally all about Stephen A. Smith. Think about the Thunder and Pacers. Everything about that was about Stephen A. Smith, and I don't respect him at all. I think he's really bad for the coverage of basketball, and I honestly cannot see how anybody could like that type of coverage. I mean, what would have made it worse? Thank God Shannon Sharp was a fucking pervert because if Shannon Sharp were on that show, I swear to God, I would have thrown a remote through the screen. It was bad. It's bad enough having Kendrick Perkins, who could barely get two sentences out of his mouth. But if it would have been Shannon Sharp and Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith, I swear to God, I would have thrown a remote through the screen. Because it is that bad. It is that ESPN's basketball coverage is that horrendous. And thank God, TNT is saving us next year. Because if I would have had to watch three people who maybe know less than the average fan about basketball, and they cover it too, which is it's so bizarre about the fact that people who actually get paid to watch basketball actively don't watch basketball. Stephen A. Smith, the two things that he did. Attacked John Morant, and he attacked Tyrese Halliburton. Not even mentioning his name. That's the thing that makes me mad. It's just dude, they're not even talking about you. And so, I mean, look, and this is what makes me mad about this is just the fact that Brian Windhorst goes on this thing where it's well, I don't know if they did enough. Well, what do you know?
It's like mortgaging your mortgage for a sports car or whatever he was saying.
Yeah, and then people are sucking Lakers' dick for signing DeAndre Ayton. Okay, well, DeAndre Ayton's not on the Trailblazers anymore because of his attitude. That's literally what they said, verbatim. So don't sit here and tell me that DeAndre Ayton's a lot better signing than Myles Turner because you can make the argument that Myles Turner is a lot better than DeAndre Ayton is. DeAndre Ayton is so overrated, it's not even funny. I don't understand why people get this notion that, oh my God, just because DeAndre Ayton was the former number one overall pick, that doesn't mean he's a good player. Do I think like him and Myles Turner are probably equal level players? Probably. I mean, look, DeAndre Ayton was on a bad team the past couple of years. So it's really kind of hard to tell about his talent. But like, everybody's saying, "Oh, all the way." What? So the Lakers get a building block, and the Bucks get Myles Turner. He's not that much better than Brook Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Kindly shut the fuck up. Like, you're always saying this because the Bucks were the ones who made the move. You just these idiots on ESPN don't like small market teams. They don't. They don't. They truly, truly don't. They will find any sort of way to try to get Giannis to leave, and even though Giannis has repeatedly said he's not going to leave, because talking shit about the Bucks probably gets some more ratings.
Mm-hmm.
They're not saying the same thing about Nikola Jokic, where, God damn it, you know what? I did not want to go on an ESPN rant right now, but honestly, and this was honestly like third on the list, so we're kind of moving that up. So let me get back on track here. Look, it sucks that they had to get rid of Damian Lillard. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting it. It was $115 million. It's $150 million. It's going to be stretched out over 4 years. It just didn't work. Well, we just got to say the partnership between him and Giannis did not work. It was 2 years. Both kept getting hurt. It just didn't. It didn't work as much as we had hoped. Milwaukee, and partly to blame is the fact that Milwaukee maybe just didn't do enough to surround them with talent. Part of that's obviously Lillard's injury. I mean, he's going to be 36 the next time he plays in another NBA game. But, let's just say it for what it is. He didn't embrace the city of Milwaukee. He didn't want to be here. Okay? I'm sure he likes playing with Giannis, but in terms of, like, living in Milwaukee and, because you're in Milwaukee, right, Evan?
Yeah.
Was he ever out? Like, was he ever caught out in Milwaukee? Did anybody ever see him out in the wild, anything like that?
Not that I know of. You see Giannis more outs than you would see him. Like, Giannis is surprisingly out and about.
And by the way, everybody in Milwaukee talks. Like, do we know where he lived?
I have no idea.
That's the other thing too. Is like everybody, like Giannis when he first moved, he was like, people now know where Giannis lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he lived in Brookfield or something. Where did he?
Yeah, Brookfield. Now he's in like River Hills, which is right like 15 minutes from where I grew up. Glendale, Whitefish Bay area.
Yeah, so he's in a richer neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But fair. But like again, nobody knew anything about like Damian Lillard in Milwaukee, right? I don't think he went out. Okay, because generally speaking, people like know everything. Like when you live in a small market like that, you know everything about that person. You know where that person shops. Like you know where he lives. Like you know all that sort of stuff. But I just don't know if anybody knew anything about Damian Lillard's time in Milwaukee other than he showed up to Fiserv and he played and he hooped for us. But that's about it. Like it's not like anybody was going to run into him at Costco.
Yeah, my sister ran into Giannis at Costco.
That's the thing. Wouldn't happen now. He's too famous. But
yeah.
But again, like you just didn't know anything about him. I don't think he went out at all. Like I truly just don't think he embraced the city, which is fine. I mean, he's from Oakland, right? Right, and he's like it's a bit of a culture shock for him. And I'm sure the fans loved him. Like I don't think that was the issue because I do think the Bucks fans are very supportive.
Yeah, we had a whole rally for him when he got here.
Yes, so I don't think that was the issue. I just think the issue was the fact that sometimes like when certain players get traded and move to certain cities, they're not going to like
be forced to like it.
Yeah, and look and now kind of when you think back where it's like when he was introduced, right? I don't know if there was like a big smile on his face to be like, I'm glad to be here and stuff.
Like shit, I'm in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and I don't think it was that. I'm sure that he made the best of the situation. Because I mean, look, almost 2 years ago, we remember like him carrying these two kids on his arms.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly just don't believe it was just like, and I think that gave him a chance to compete. And again, that just none of that worked out.
Yeah,
the coach that they tabbed to replace Mike Budenholzer got fired his first year. Doc Rivers, that whole thing. Doc Rivers takes over middle of the year. Lillard hurts his Achilles, I believe, in the playoff series against Indiana first year, and then the second year he obviously tears his Achilles. So
Yep.
it's just, it didn't work, and he's going to be getting paid $100 million. This is the first time in his career that he's going to be a free agent, and look, reportedly he's elated with the decision to be released because I just truly think and there are reports that Bucks brass was not happy that he wanted to do his rehab in Portland, so Milwaukee, which is another indicator that I'm not going to be in Milwaukee if I don't absolutely have to. Like, my kids are out in Portland, so I could understand him showing more love to the city that drafted him versus
the team that he didn't want. Yeah, didn't want to be traded to.
Yeah, and that was literally what it was. Is he did not he wanted to go to Miami. He was basically telling Portland, "I'm only going to go to Miami." So you got to think about it from that perspective of, and somebody like a Bucks guy asked what was your favorite Damian Lillard memory in Milwaukee? I think somebody said the notification that hit our phone when we found out he was traded to us. Because I truly don't think there was and maybe you could throw in the game-winning shot against Sacramento.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Him and not in his debut, I feel like were his highlights.
But I don't think there was a moment for Damian Lillard where I was like, oh my god, that's but that was the one moment where Damian Lillard was that was maybe the one moment Damian Lillard at Milwaukee. Other than that, it was just it was not a. Okay, once it was the type of talk where it was once they get this together, this team's gonna be really scary. Never got it together, and I just think because they just could not improve that roster around them, which again is disappointing. But that's what happens when you have your team be super top heavy. Is that those three because when it started out, it was Giannis, it was Lillard, and it was Middleton. The three of them could not stay healthy at the same time. Which, who knows what that team would have looked like if those guys would have been able to stay there. So I mean, look, I hate that he's gone, but I think it's the best decision for both sides.
Yeah, I agree, and it's one of those things where if this would have happened when he was on the Trailblazers and they waived him, it would be a whole different story. But when the Bucks waived him, the internet freaked out. Players, there's no loyalty in basketball. All business, no loyalty anymore. Carmelo Anthony was freaking out. It's like, dude, you played on the Trailblazers for 5 minutes. Relax, all right. You also chased money over winning too, so that's another hot take for a different day. But he was on the team for 4 years. It didn't work. He's always hurt. Didn't want to be here. I mean, that from what we know, based off of the reactions of, I feel like every time they talk to him. Yeah. He's on the team for 4 years. Now they don't have to pay him $100 million in 2 years. They paid over 5 years.
Wait, who was on for 4? Wait, who was on for 4?
Was Lillard he had 2 years left, so 4 years total with the Bucks.
Well, I think he was only on there for 2. And then
that other 2, he would have had 2 more years then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't like he signed the rest of his career here. This was a middle ground transaction. Who knows if he would have signed again if he really wanted to be back in Portland or closer to family, whatever. But this was not a guaranteed thing, and people freaked out. And I think what upsets me the most about this is that the Bucks finally make an interesting move, and the fans are obviously happy. But then the internet just throws it back in our face and the reiteration of Giannis wanting to leave. Giannis recruited Myles Turner. Why would someone think Myles Turner would sign with the Bucks knowing that Giannis wants to leave? It's why would you sign to a team where now you're just going to be the best player? Where no one's just signing to Milwaukee. No one's ever really done that without being recruited by another former teammate, another player that wants to play with you. It doesn't happen. No one just, I want to go to Milwaukee. No one says that. No one's ever said that. And then waiving Damian Lillard and then acting like they just killed Giannis. It was like the Bucks make this huge move that blindsided literally everyone that watches NBA basketball. You can't tell me someone's like, "Yep, I knew that was going to happen." No one thought that was going to happen. But yeah, to have it just thrown back in your face of Chris Haynes saying Giannis wants to leave now, like this is definitely going to make him leave. It's like, dude, this wasn't Chris Middleton that they waived. They traded him. Sure, they traded him, but he was aging. He was at the end of his career. $33 million player option for this year. You think the Bucks are going to pay $33 million for a year of Chris Middleton? Absolutely not. It sucks, but it happened. And the Bucks got Myles Turner out of it, so I can't complain about that. But I don't know. Again, it's so hard being a Bucks fan, knowing that just every single person, every like media, everyone in the media just hates your team, or really just hates that Giannis is on your team. And I don't know, it's so draining and so frustrating. And then people believe it. And then there's one person who doesn't believe it, then will make a comment about it. And people are like, yeah, this guy doesn't know ball. Like he definitely wants out. It's like as if Giannis is telling all these people individually that he wants to leave the Bucks. It's like, dude, just shut up. Just shut up. They're just mad that Giannis is not on their team. That's literally all it is. Lakers fans are like, yep, he wants out. Warriors fans, yep, he wants out. He's coming to Golden State. He was at Steph Curry's birthday party. That means he's joining the Bucks. Or that he's joining the Warriors. Like, my goodness. Giannis would have already been gone. Free agents, like, he already would have been gone.
Yeah, and give John Horst credit. At least he's trying. Like, he's literally trying every single thing he can do. But, like, again, but that's the thing is you'll shit on us for not putting enough around him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll still shit on us when John Horst actively tries to do what he can to like build around. Yeah, like honestly, you cannot win in ESPN's eyes because that entire network's a joke. The basketball coverage is stupid. Like, and I'm literally just saying that because I just think that they've been saying it for 5 years. It gets a little tiring when they keep trying to peddle the same thing, and it doesn't help the fact that you have like a report, like you have like a senior insider who's just like who keeps trying to peddle about the fact, that's by but then they'll talk about the Lakers for 20 minutes about how good DeAndre Ayton's going to be.
Yep.
I
wanted DeAndre Ayton because that's probably the best that we could have maybe had a chance at getting. And then you get Myles Turner. Like, holy shit, you just got Myles Turner over DeAndre Ayton somehow. And then people are like, nah. Yep, no. DeAndre Ayton, way better signing.
Yeah, and by the way, like the Pacers like completely like torpedoed their chance of contending for next year because they don't have.
Yeah, they're done.
Because they're not going to have Haliburton, they're not going to have Turner. Like, and reportedly they only offered Myles Turner like $23 million. So it wasn't like they gave him like some great offer.
Yeah, and he just refused it. He would have re-signed. There's no doubt in my mind he would have re-signed.
Absolutely. And like honestly, this is kind of where free agency was headed. And by the way, I have no idea what Shams was talking about. I think he overreacted a little bit when he was like, this is gonna be the craziest free agency. I was like, it's been kind of boring if we're being completely honest.
Yeah.
Players have just kind of re-signed with their teams. It really hasn't been like, oh my God, like this free agency is not. No. The Luka trade, it was crazier than this.
Yeah, like literally one of the craziest trades in the last, I don't know, century, half century, quarter century, whatever, since 2000.
Yeah, this doesn't even compare to that.
No, literally
not even
nothing.
Close. Everybody's just re-signing. Kristaps Porzingis going to the Hawks.
Yeah, people are putting the Hawks over. Like, it's like, all right,
it's silly. No, look, the Hawks have really done the best they can to like improve their team.
Yep,
because they're really trying to get Trae Young to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But like, come on, it's still the Hawks. All right, let's relax. The Hawks are still going to be the Hawks. I don't know if they're going to be as good, or probably maybe the same team. But like, honestly, there's no clear front runner for the East next year.
Yeah,
because the Cavs are still going to be good. The Celtics are definitely going to take a step back based on like the fact that they had to get rid of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis to get under that second apron. So they might go through like a slight down year before they revamp it up again. The Knicks hired Mike Brown today, so they
Yep.
have talent. Knicks have talent. And, I think if James Dolan stays out of the way, which is kind of crazy, the fact that they fired Tom Thibodeau for Mike Brown. I don't know if that's a step up or not.
Yeah, it's like the same thing.
And apparently, from what I read, they're keeping all the same Knicks coaches. So,
Yep. So they're,
which is even more crazy. The fact that they're hiring Mike Brown, but they're like, yeah, but we're making you keep all these assistants. Like that's even more crazy to me. But no, so the Knicks still have Jalen Brunson and Cat and OG and Mikal Bridges and all guys like that. But like, yeah, the East just does not have a front runner for next year.
Yeah, and I think if the Bucks can just sign a decent vet point guard, I think they have a good chance of being a top 3 seed.
Yep.
I know they're linked to Chris Paul. I don't really know if I want Chris Paul.
I was about to ask about that. What are your thoughts on the Bucks potentially getting Chris Paul?
I'd rather have Russell Westbrook if we're going vet minimums. But Chris Paul is one of those guys where it's like he can definitely help the team. I again will take that in a heartbeat. He's also 40 years old, but he can still, he didn't do bad. He didn't do horrible with Wembanyama. So I feel like if you're still giving him a guy with the similar stature of Wembanyama, I feel like it's doable. But I mentioned Gary Harris the last podcast that we did, and then they unironically signed him. Again, that's not going to be like a huge game changer. He's obviously not going to be a starter or get a lot of minutes, but I think they're just 1 point-ish, like decent point guard away or backup point guard for having a better chance of competing. I think they just need to trade Kyle Kuzma, and they traded Pat Connaughton, but then they got a guy back who still has like a really shitty contract. It's like only $1 million less than Pat. I don't know. I just think if they can just trade Kuzma or hope that Kuzma has like a bounce back year. Like he didn't do horrible, and I feel like people are shitting on him. He didn't do bad, or he did horrible in the playoffs, where it really matters. But like he wasn't like he averaged 14.5 points. So, he wasn't coming over to be a 25 point player, but either give him another chance, let him run it back one more year and see what happens, but otherwise make a trade. But people are immediately counting them out when they see Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent, Kuzma, Giannis, and Myles Turner in the starting lineup. They're like, yeah, this team's fighting for a play-in. It's like, all right.
Well, here's what I will say. Sorry. Here's what I will say about that, about Chris Paul. First of all, I'll say I have to disagree with you on Russell Westbrook over Chris Paul, and here's why. Number one, I think for Chris Paul is going to provide them exactly for what they need. They need like that floor general, and I don't think Chris Paul. And I think that's exactly what Chris Paul is going to provide. Is like he can set up shooters and he can still get to his spots a little bit. And the best part is he's kind of an asshole, which is you kind of need that for like a team that wants to win. Is you kind of need that asshole. And like you look, Giannis can play with guys like that. Russell Westbrook, if it would have been like 10 years ago, I would have been like, bro, Russell Westbrook, that would be like a. But like Russell Westbrook at this current stage, where he's kind of bouncing from team to team at this point, and he's being known as kind of like a mentor. I don't necessarily think that Russell Westbrook should be the starting point guard next year. I think more or less, I think Kevin Porter Jr. fits better in as like a backup.
And then Chris Paul as a starter.
Chris Paul as a starter, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm all for anything.
You need that you need a veteran presence. I think Chris Paul, he played in 82 games last year. He could stay. He's, last year he's shown he's able to stay healthy, and I think right now he's great at that mentorship role of like he can still play, but he can also be like help Giannis along. He can help. He did the same thing last year when he was in San Antonio with Wemby. And this could be like a 1-year deal. See if he can capture a championship. Because I do think Chris Paul, if anybody deserves a championship, it's CP3. And, he's not going to be as quick as he used to be. But And he's not going to be like the LA Clippers Chris Paul, but I still think he can make a difference. And look, it sucks that he's like got like kind of bounced from team to team a little bit, but because I still think he's like really talented. But like he just, he just hasn't been on any team for like too long. The situations for him haven't been like right. So I think if the Bucks get CP3, I think that puts him in a really, really good spot. Because you got to remember though, I know this was like 5 years ago, but you got to remember he helped Oklahoma City go to the playoffs, like when they were like really, really bad. So Chris Paul, he's a difference making player. Like he does help teams win because he's like one of the smartest players in the game. So
Forgot he was on OKC. That's not like oh yeah, he was on. That's such like a blur.
yeah, it's a flash in the pan.
It is, yes.
That's because Daryl Morey tried doing bogus by just sending him to NBA's Afghanistan at the time. And at this point, he was just like, all right, you want to do that to me? I'll show you. So then he just
banished.
yeah, and then all of a sudden he's just like, all right, well, I'm gonna lead him to the playoffs then. Now, granted, it was the pandemic, so everybody with the pulse got in the playoffs. It felt like, but still, it's still impressive what he pulled off at OKC. But look, here's what I'm saying. Finally getting rid of Pat Connaughton, I like that. It sucks that it come with 2 second-round picks. I don't know if that'll mean a lot in particular, but giving up 2 second-round picks for a guy who was likely not going to be on the roster next year. I mean, we knew Pat wasn't going to be on the roster. Yeah. I mean, he didn't play towards the end of the year. He really wasn't in Doc Rivers' rotation like last year. So then I was like, all right, well, we got to figure out something for him. And he just like, all right, well, he's been on the team for 7 years. He could still hustle, and he's going to provide something for a rebuilding team, but he's not. And again, I'm always going to thank him for what he did for us in 2021.
Yeah, he had some big time shots,
but
keep them in the finals.
But again, that's 4 years ago. You got to move on. Pat Connaughton's not that point anymore. We had 7 great years with him.
Mm-hmm. Maybe like 5.
We're always going to remember the 2019 and 2021 playoffs where he just made some big time plays.
Yep.
But I mean, look, players get older. Skills diminish a little bit, and it sucks that Pat Connaughton is going to leave. But reportedly they're going to try to sign somebody. My brother actually gave me some news a little bit ago. They did waive Chris Livingston.
I was going to mention that. They did that right before we started recording.
So
what's the whole point of drafting for the Milwaukee Bucks? I genuinely do not understand why they draft people. I think that is besides Tyler Smith, I don't think they have any draft picks on their team since Giannis.
No, they don't. They do not. They don't. No, and what makes that frustrating is the fact that the guy that we drafted in the last pick in the 2000, I think it was the 2020 draft. It was Sam Merrill.
Yeah, now look at him.
Got a big contract. Got a decent sized contract with the Cavs. So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's like they either draft what are we doing kind of pick, or they just give up on them and then look at them. You got Dante, you got Sam Merrill. Those are big. Obviously, Dante's a little different, but still, there's ways that you could have kept him.
Well, trading Dante for Serge Ibaka was crazy work. I don't know I have no idea what they were going for, mortgaging that asset. And I get Dante was hurt, but I was like, dude, that's still it was still better. He was still better by that point than Serge Ibaka. And then they traded for Serge Ibaka, and then they don't play him. So then that's what was even more. So that's what it was even more crazy to me is they traded Serge Ibaka, who was dealing with back issues, who was past his prime, and all of a sudden it was like now they don't play him. Budenholzer just stuck him at the end of the bench.
Yeah, what a waste. Tyler Smith is now the last one with Giannis because A.J. Johnson's obviously gone. But it's there's literally no point in drafting if they're just never going to try to train some draft pick and hope that it works out. Chris Livingston, I don't hate him. I
No,
thought
I
he was
didn't hate
pretty
Chris
decent
Livingston.
anytime he
His
played.
game was good. His game was good. Well, and the other move that they made yesterday was they rescinded the qualifying offer for Ryan
Yep.
Rollins. And so everybody's going to think that they have another move on the horizon, which there's got to be because
Yep. Because they could re-sign him, or they're gonna. I think it's just a move to
now,
sign someone, which
granted,
sucks because I like him. I liked Ryan Rounds.
Ryan Rollins was kind of like to me Lendell Wigginton, where it was like he was a very
Yes, that's a good poll. I like that.
he was very much a one-way player, where it was like he's a very good defender. He tries hard.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to do anything on offense. But he could get, because you got to remember this. He started the game one of the playoffs.
Yep, he showed up and he played his role.
Like he's gonna try hard. He's gonna play like really solid defense, but he's not like a guy who's just like, oh, we need Ryan Rollins in there. That's not what he does. But he's that scrappy. He's like that scrappy guy who's like gonna maybe have 1 to 2 good games, and he's always got to find a spot just because of his effort and his defensive tenacity.
Yep.
But he's
can pick him up.
Yeah, but he's not like a guy like he could maybe be like an 8th or 9th guy off the bench or something. Mm-hmm. But did I think he was going to be a part of Milwaukee's rotation next year? Probably not. And I do think they have another move up their sleeve. Let's see what's going to happen in Summer League, which I don't even know if that matters because Doc Rivers generally doesn't like playing younger players anyways.
Yep.
Or else we wouldn't be drafting some guy from Serbia. Like that's literally what it was. It was like we had like impact players that we could have drafted, but we just, Then again, I'm sure this guy's gonna be great, but he's not playing in the NBA next year.
Literally, it's maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah, again, all for Chris Paul, all for an older vet like that. I just like imagine, let's say the Bucks sign Chris Paul, yeah? 3 years ago, or like someone comes out of a coma 3 years ago and they read a headline of Myles Turner signs with the Bucks after the Bucks waive Damian Lillard and sign Chris Paul. It's like, whoa, what the hell? I mean,
crazy.
These names and just popping up. It's a weird time for Bucks fans, especially coming off of mediocrity for years and years to have the chance. But no, I think they're a decent point guard away from having a real contention chance, especially with how at least to like make it far in the playoffs with how weak the East is.
Yeah.
But damn it. But who knows? Something's gonna happen. I already know. Like you don't just get rid of his contract and then dump Chris. They'll sign someone soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just don't know who.
And obviously, as we kind of move around the NBA, we did lose a few guys. Brook Lopez signed a quick 2-year deal with the Clippers.
$18 million, which is crazy. Good for him for being able to still pull out some money like that. Good for him.
And obviously, it's a good move for him, for his family. I believe he is from California. If I'm not mistaken, he went to Stanford.
Yeah, he's from Los Angeles, North Hollywood.
Oh, so California guys going back home. Can't really complain too much about that. He's still got some stuff left in the tank. So, good luck to Brook Lopez. Obviously, like we said, we're always going to remember 2021. Mm-hmm. Able to keep him for as long as we did. So we're going to miss him, obviously. Some other quick hitting moves. Jericho Sims re-signs with the Bucks.
Yep, I like that one too.
Love Jericho Sims. I think him and Myles Turner throwing in Giannis. Now, granted, I feel like Myles Turner is going to start, but having just Jericho Sims could stay healthy.
Get a guy to learn from. I think Myles Turner, Jericho Sims, I think can learn more from Myles Turner than he could with Brook Lopez. Again, Absolutely. Just based off of stature. Yeah. Brook Lopez was a lot bigger. Than Jericho Sims.
Gary Harris, as we kind of talked about before. And I know people are going to say he averaged like 3 points last year, but he can score, but I feel like he's more or less known at this point in the NBA for his defense. I think he plays like he's a solid defender. And that's kind of like another in the margins move.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, it's not like a immediate starting point guard.
No, but it's another guy off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, outside of that, I mean, we've talked about the re-signings. We're obviously all in favor of like Gary Trent, Kevin Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Taurean Prince, that was a little more. That was
Yeah,
a little more cloudy.
kind of
I don't
surprised
know.
they went with that. I don't hate it, but I was just more of like the him before Gary. I thought when they signed him, they weren't getting Gary Trent, and then they did.
But I think you also have to keep in mind too is Taurean Prince's regular season stats were really good last year. He was
Yep.
number 1 in 3-point percentage, I believe. So it wasn't like he was a complete bust. He just didn't show up in the playoffs, and I think sometimes we maybe read too much into that, where it's like, well, he didn't do anything in the playoffs. Like, there's no way we're going to re-sign him. And then
A lot of guys didn't, so I feel like it's not a horrible signing.
no, it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, some other quick hitting news. Mike Beasley is under a federal gambling investigation while he was a member of the Bucks in the 2023-24 season. And obviously, as you kind of watch some of the plays that Malik Beasley had with the Bucks, you're like, oh no, this is starting to kind of make sense a little bit.
I don't know how people find that stuff so quick. They know like what the over under it's a crazy thing what people can do.
You know what? Honestly, but all right, but as you think back on it, everybody remembers the Halliburton clip.
Yep.
Like I remember the Halliburton clip. Like I didn't think much of it other than like, oh well, this guy who everybody said was going to be like the next Drew Holiday. Like, oh, this guy's going to be like, they try to basically make him our Drew Holiday. And then, like, that Halliburton clip, everybody just remembers it. Where there's like, oh, God. And then you think about all those missed threes that he had, and like you think about all the dumb plays that he committed, and then you're
where
just
he like stayed still, and then like his
yeah,
controller disconnected. We're like, what was he doing?
but see, now they're under federal gambling investigation. Now it's like he might have had money on the Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like he had financial issues. He owed his barber like thousands of dollars, and you know he was telling Anthony Edwards like he was asking Anthony Edwards if he could give him 7 threes. So, I mean, look,
I need you to give me 7 threes tonight. Nothing crazy, just a random number I could think of.
And now you think back, where it's like him and Giannis had that little moment, this past season where those two did not like each other.
No.
But in all seriousness, Malik Beasley very much. Now he could be cleared of this because Terry Rozier was cleared of this. However, this feels like one of those situations where it's like when there's smoke, there's fire. And I feel like there's way too many things working against Malik Beasley to where he could find himself permanently banned from the league.
I was going to say, like, the Aaron Gordon's brother, like, even the smallest of guys, like, I still think, like, everyone should. You got to get the same.
They're always going to find you.
Yep.
Trust me, there's not been one player who's been able to get past the NBA's gambling rules. If you're a professional athlete, you use your real name or, you leave a paper trail, they're going to find you. And they took a little while for Malik Beasley because he had a career year with the Pistons, but he got found. And it sucks because he honestly missed a bag, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's like $40 million he was supposed to sign for around.
Like that's why the Pistons had to pivot and sign Duncan Robinson because that money was going to go to Malik Beasley. But now that this happened, now they're just like,
just in case.
Yank it back. Yank it back. Now, do I think that's a bit of an overpay for Duncan Robinson? A little bit.
Yeah, his original one was a little overpay after his one good year.
Yeah, and here's the other problem. Well, good for him. He's not going to have the same amount of success in Detroit. And that's not me hating, but that's generally what happens with Heat players.
Yep, who get money somewhere else.
Yep, and then they just don't do anything. Look at Gabe Vincent. People thought like Gabe Vincent was like Gabe Vincent has really fallen off a cliff since he went to the Lakers. And I can have a few examples too. You got Gabe Vincent, you got Kendrick Nunn.
Yep.
You got Duncan Robinson now. I mean, he will not shoot the same as he did in Detroit. That will not happen. What else? What else? We had The Bucks haven't really lost. They haven't really lost too many players. There weren't really too many players of value that I was like sad about losing. Is anybody? I don't know if there was like. I honestly don't know if there was like anybody else that like I'm sitting there that I'm like, oh, that would have been. Yeah, I don't know. Is there any that you can? Is there any that you could kind of like point to?
I mean, it was really just Brooke Lillard and now Chris Livingston. Obviously, the Brooke thing was inevitable. Like we kind of knew it
Yeah,
was happening.
yeah,
Lillard, obviously not, but arguably the Bucks got the best free agent in the free agency. Obviously before Lillard, but out of all the free agents going to the season, I feel like they got like one of the top guys. So
yeah.
can't hate on it, but they will. But no, I feel good. I don't know. I just think they need a point guard, and I highly doubts that this is the end. So I feel like in the near future, Chris Paul could be a Milwaukee Buck. Who would have thought saying that?
Maybe there was one thing we missed. I don't know if we ever touched on it. Bobby Portis obviously
Oh
re-signed with
he
Milwaukee.
re-signed.
Yeah,
He was like, expected to sign 3 years, 40-some million.
and that was the first move that Milwaukee made to try to keep Giannis. Where it was like, well, we got to keep Milwaukee, the mayor of Milwaukee, in Milwaukee. So he's staying.
Mhm.
Like I said, he missed a lot of time. He's still a favorite in Milwaukee. He missed 25 games last year due to violating the NBA's drug policy, but that's kind of a key player. And you throw, like I said, you throw MT in there and you throw Jericho Sims. That's pretty substantiated moves. Again, at this point in time, like free agencies, like players, like at this point in time, it's just kind of there's no A-list guys left. I don't believe. This is kind of like where teams just kind of fill out their rosters a little bit, where like all the primetime stars are like done in days 1 and 2, and then everybody else is just kind of like, oh, like such and such signs like July 8th. Like this is kind of where it's like it slows down a little bit. And,
everyone's done, and then there's the one-offs here or there, but it usually just slowly dies after a few days.
Yep. So, I think I had one more question. Do you think the moves Milwaukee made, like in the past couple days, made Giannis want to stay in Milwaukee for the rest of his career?
Yes. I feel like, again, I don't know what their relationship was, him and Damian Lillard, but I can't imagine it was the greatest. Again, he wasn't here long. He didn't necessarily come into Milwaukee and be like, all right, let's go. I'm ready to work. Like, I'm super excited to be here. Can't wait to. It's like you didn't really see any of that. So it's always one of those things where it's like, who knows, like how well the two of them actually meshed. But I feel like knowing that Giannis kind of recruited Myles Turner here, and it somehow here he is. I feel like that's definitely something. I mean, 4 years of Myles Turner minimum. I feel like that was definitely a move that could be like, yeah, this guy will want to stay. I feel again, John Horst is continuing to make big moves. Get Damian Lillard. You got Drew Holiday. You want a championship. Then you trade him for Damian Lillard, but it's Damian Lillard. Now you waive Damian Lillard and you get Myles Turner. It's like these still are all big name players. You're not just letting Brook Lopez walk. You're not letting, and now Tyler Smith is the new starter. You're not waiving Damian Lillard and just bringing Gary Harris, but you don't sign. It's like they're clearly making moves of high quantity that is going to be like, all right, this makes sense. Like Giannis, clearly this would not make Giannis upset with the players that they're getting. But again, if they were just bringing these random nobodies or waiting to the end of free agency to sign a guy to a 1-year, $2 million deal to get 2 minutes a game in garbage time. So no, I definitely feel like these moves are favoring Giannis, and I think definitely stay here for the rest of his career. And I never really had a doubt where he'd want to leave, but I feel like they're still working to keep contending. And again, one of those things where, again, a random tangent, when the Bucks, the big rumors of like Giannis wants to leave, and people are like the Nets and the Raptors, it's like the Nets, no one can afford Giannis, I think, outside of OKC, Houston, and San Antonio. Houston traded for Kevin Durant. They're obviously not going to do it. San Antonio, they just would have to have given up too much, which doesn't really make sense when you have the rookie of the year and then the second overall pick and Wembanyama. And then OKC, they're winning the championship. Why blow it up? Obviously, you would get a superstar. But again, why break something up that isn't broken already? But why would you want to trade him to a team where he's going to have zero chance of winning? You're not trading Giannis to the Raptors or the Nets, and they're automatically a finals contender. It's so far off of them even potentially making the play-in. Giannis could definitely change their franchise, but what is Giannis and Cam Thomas going to take him to the finals? No, not even close. They would have had to have given the Raptors would have had to have given RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. That's their whole team. That is literally their whole team. They would have done nothing. So I feel like there's just no chance that Giannis has really shown that he is visually upset. Again, he's won. If they haven't won yet, I can understand. But they've won at least, and now they're still in that contention era of we're still making the playoffs every year since we've won the playoffs. Or since we won the championship.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things. Well, first of all, the Raptors don't know what they're doing because they're giving money. They're giving money to Jakob Poeltl, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's the Nets couldn't afford him. Because first of all, there's not one person who's like, I want to go to the Nets unless you're like teaming up together. So KD and Kyrie.
Yep, and you see how that worked.
Ace Bailey wanted to go to the Nets because he's an East Coast guy. But the Nets were good, but he's not. Giannis going to live in Toronto.
Correct.
Toronto just got rid of Masai Ujiri, and they don't know. I don't know if they know what they're doing. To be honest with you, they've been in a rebuilding stage for like a few years now. But
yeah, it's a lot of those teams who have won the championship and now they're rebuilding. The Bucks have won a championship and still have made the playoffs. Sure, they have lost in the second and first round in the last 4 years, but they're still in the playoffs. They're not fighting for a play-in. They're not the eights. It's like they're still in high contention. They just have been unlucky. It's like a lot of teams are.
It's hard to make it stick. It's really hard to make it stick. And again, those teams have generally gone on to it isn't like, when they lost to the Heat in 23, it was like, well, the Heat made it all the way to the finals. So other teams had issues with the Heat until they ran to a buzzsaw in Denver. 24, the Pacers, again, Eastern Conference Finals. Tyrese Haliburton got hurt, and they were bowed out in Boston, I believe, in 5 games. But might have got swept. I'm not 100%. And then this year, again, lost to a very good Pacers team that was on a miraculous run. Great team, miraculous run. But, and again, and people are just trying to paint it as like, oh, Myles Turner's not good. Have you not watched Myles Turner play? I understand the playoff performance weren't all that consistent, but let me tell you, Myles Turner is a lot better than DeAndre Ayton would be. A lot better. And, I just hope that they use him the right way. I hope that Milwaukee gets a point guard. And I hope they accentuate Myles Turner's talents. Because, those guys can defend. Like, all those guys, if you put the right piece around them, can defend. Myles Turner, him being able to switch everything. I think Jericho Sims being able to switch everything. Giannis, Gary Trent, Taurean Prince. Kevin Porter Jr., maybe not a good on-ball defender, but he can steal the ball. He can steal. So, Milwaukee, got some really good defenders for next year. And that's all I can say about that. Do you have anything else?
I don't. Just excited to see the next move, 1 or 2 more moves. Again, they don't have any more money besides veteran minimums or low budget signings. But no, I'm excited for the season to start. Usually you're just kind of looking forward to it, but no, it should be exciting. It's going to be a lot different, obviously, but it's a good different, and I'm hoping that things go as how they planned. A better start than last year, that's for sure.
Yep. So I just want to first of all, I just want to apologize that we were not recording earlier, and then people were just seeing us talk to air. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And we'll probably see you guys if they make another like a Chris Paul type of move, then we'll maybe do like a quick 20-minute on that. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys when we see you.